Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is a little thing before Dynamite Delight. Now, this is the third time I'm trying to film this because it's kind of hard for me because this kind of upsets me and messes with my anxiety. So if I botch a bit, I want to make this clear. I've tried this now twice already and I botched a bit because I started getting a little nervous and anxiety. So if I botch anything, I am leaving below in the comments the article I saw. I want to make it clear. I am going to try and explain what happened. Not in full detail. You want more detail? Look at the article or look at just Alex or JD. They'll be way more detailed than me. But I am going to try my best to explain what I've learned. And I am leaving the article in the comment section after I upload the video. I will do it. But this is what I've learned so far. And understand, they still don't know what exactly happened. Now, both people who died was Jay himself and the driver of the other pickup truck. Now, it was two Chevrolet Silverados. The woman's name, I can't remember her last name, but her first name was Lillian. She was driving a 1500 Chevrolet Silverado from 2019. Jay was driving a 2500 Chevrolet Silverado from 2016. Now, they were both driving in Lorient, somewhere in possibly a residential district. At the same time, both going down opposite lanes. One south, one east, and that was Lillian, and Jay was west. So they were like this, going like this. You can see it. East, west, they were both going like this. Now, from what I understand, for some unknown reason, they still don't know yet, the woman in the 1500 Silverado decided to go out of her lane and went head on to Jay's car. I'm saying car, I mean pickup truck. I'm sorry. This is one of the things that was getting me upset. I was saying pickup truck. I was saying car instead of pickup truck. So I'm sorry. So please bear with me. Now, from what has been understood, both she and Jay died due to the fact that I believe, this is what I understand, because it's not stated if it was because Jay literally hit her, not in the sense of the two pickup trucks smashing together, because they did. It was due to the fact that the four people in question, it was Lillian in the Silverado 1500, Jay in the 2500 Silverado, along with his two daughters. Now, just in case anybody thought that because there was some information that was released by the wife, Jay's wife, that maybe she was involved in the crash too. No, she was not. There were only 3 occupants in the pickup truck. It was Jay, his 9-year-old daughter, and his 12-year-old daughter. Now, here's where I do believe what caused the death of Jay and the other woman. Jay was not wearing his seatbelt. She was. The 2 girls were wearing the seatbelts as well. So when the 2 pickups hit, I believe, and I could be wrong, that Jay flew out of his seat, hit the windshield, and crashed and killed the woman in the other car, because since she went out of her lane, head on, smashed into Jay, Jay might have flown out of his seat and went straight into her and basically probably killed her, unless it was the actual crash itself. But Jay, he had no seatbelt on, so he would have gone straight through the window anyway. If he didn't hit her, he was automatically dead. Now, the 2 daughters, the 9 and 12-year-old, they didn't really say in the article how badly injured they were. They were only going by the investigation and I believe the highway patrol or the sheriff or whatever is in the vicinity for law enforcement. They said the 9 and 12-year-old were injured and they were taken to the nearest hospital in critical condition. Now, that would go along with what was being said on Twitter about Jay's wife saying, "Pray for my daughters." And it's daughters, not daughter. Because the original basic information before this was it was only 1 daughter and they were coming home from cheerleading practice. That was the basics that most other websites were talking about. They didn't know the full story yet. So it's supposedly his 12 and 9-year-old daughters. So I don't know if they're going to cheerleading practice or not. It doesn't really matter. The point is they were both in the pickup truck with him. They were both in their seatbelts just like the woman was. But due to the fact that they were probably going at least 50 or 60 miles an hour because they both were going at the same speed, That straight on, that was it. And understand, this is not a car. This is a pickup truck. And there's a difference between being in a pickup truck and being in a car, because even though they have airbags in there, it's a big difference. We're talking about a much more heavier vehicle than a regular car that could be a Mustang or could be a Buick or whatever you want to talk, or a Prius. You're talking about two Silverados, 3 years apart from each other, both pickup trucks. That's what you get. So this is what we know so far. But we don't know if the woman was drunk. We don't know if the woman could have had a seizure. We don't know if the woman was talking on the phone. We have no clue why she went out of her lane and went straight into Jay. She could have had a heart attack. She could have died behind the wheel. She could have been drunk. She could have been on drugs. Or something might have gone wrong with the pickup truck and she lost control, went straight on into him, and ended her life along with him. Don't know. So this is what we got. Now that I got that information out, I can do Dynamite. I'm sorry if that was a little long or someone didn't want to hear it, but I thought it would be necessary because I did do a video about it yesterday. The thumbnail was messed up because I used the wrong, I put lose instead of lost. Someone said it. I'm not great at spelling, guys, but you know what it meant. It still was a tribute to him. So I hope you do understand it. Now, I want to say this before I even get started with the review. Did AEW, and I got to ask you guys a question, leave a comment below, because as far as I remember, when it comes to the Briscoes, they won the ROH titles, and they were working for Tony Khan. They were signed, as far as I understood. They were signed, I could be wrong, but they were signed to ROH, which means they were signed to AEW. Now, I checked the website. I didn't see Jay or Mark at all on the AEW roster. Now, I hadn't checked the ROH website or the roster or anything on YouTube. So as far as I know, were they really signed to Tony in ROH? As far as I know, they were. And they were holding the titles. They just hadn't had a chance to defend them yet. I could be wrong. You guys tell me below. I don't know. So, wait a minute. Didn't the Embassy win those ROH titles? I'm trying to remember. I wonder if the Embassy won. I can't remember, but let's move on. You guys tell me below. I don't watch Dark or Elevation where ROH is supposed to be residing, so I don't remember if the Briscoes have already lost those titles or they were going to have some type of tournament or something to deal with. I don't know. So, first match, All Atlantic, which was Jay Lethal versus... this is like, really? I gotta say this. The entire premise about this entire match wasn't just that Orange wanted to defend his title. It was about Sanjay Dutt causing so much havoc last week that Tony said, you're getting an All Atlantic Championship chance. And if Singh, Double J, or you interfere at any time, you're fired. Flat out. And the entire match was kind of revolving around that more than it was about the match itself. Because you saw Sanjay, you saw Singh, and you saw Double J in the audience because they went and got tickets. And then Best Friends was there as well. So in the end, Orange Cassidy won. Double J tried to use his guitar. Singh wanted to kill the Best Friends, but it's Sanjay Dutt that's begging them not to do anything because he could lose his job. So I don't know what to make of all that. That's kind of messy. Now, it doesn't mean it's bad, but it just feels messy. Now, next, Top Flight versus the Young Bucks. Now, the Young Bucks had bands on their arm for Jay. They love Jay. It's fine. You didn't see anything for Top Flight. I kind of feel not good about that. Honestly, I kind of wish that Top Flight had bands for Jay Briscoe. What's the problem? Why couldn't people wear the bands? Jay Briscoe was important to wrestling. How come Top Flight wasn't wearing it? What? Because he was white? What? Because they didn't know him? What? Because Black Lives Matters more than Jay Briscoe's life? Because I remember them wearing a Black Lives Matter band on their arms, so did Keith Lee. but only just the Bucks. And, well, I can understand why you could say, well, maybe it was only meant for those who knew him. But that doesn't mean you couldn't show respect and not wear a band on your arm. I'm just saying, for me personally, now I can understand if anybody else says, well, they're wearing bands because they knew him personally, so they were saying, let us just wear the bands, no one else wear it. That kind of is not right. Honestly, it's kind of not right. I think it should have been everyone wear a band for Jay Briscoe. Particularly that they just flashed him in the first part of the show and did only saying maybe twice more, Jay has passed away, we love you, Jay, and that was it. Now, if he was signed to ROH, that makes it kind of worse because if he's part of ROH, he's part of AEW, but I digress. You guys tell me below if I'm right or not. I don't even know if they even still had the titles, if they were still working with ROH, or if they ever did. The current ROH, not the past. Now, next, Jake Hager. Yeah, and it was Top Flight who won. Almost forgot. I was kind of surprised about that, but yeah, it's all right with Top Flight because I do like them. I liked Dante and Darius. I do. And they won. Now, Jake Hager versus Ricky Starks. Was it a good match? Yes. Was it sloppy a bit? Yes. Who was sloppier? Was it Jake or was it Ricky? I think a little bit of both. Both of them usually don't work together, so they look a little sloppy to me personally. Not because this is Jake and this is Ricky. I don't think they work together much. So they felt a little sloppy. But in the end, Ricky won. And you had a little Chris Jericho on commentary, making it very clear how much he can't stand Ricky. And now there's going to be a match, I think this Friday, where I'm not sure what is it. Going to be a match this Friday with I'm trying to remember who is it. Is it going to be Action Andretti versus Daniel Garcia? Or is it going to be a tag match between Garcia, Chris, and Action and I don't know. I can't remember. But there's supposed to be one on Rampage, not Dynamite. I'm kind of botching here because I don't remember. And I'm wondering how far they're going to go with this. Are they trying really hard to make this more about Action Andretti than about Ricky Starks? That's the problem I'm having with this entire situation. I know people were not happy when Action Andretti just appeared out of nowhere and got that win over Chris Jericho. But now my question is, what are they trying to do with this? Is this really about Ricky Starks getting elevated? Or is this about Action Andretti and they're using Ricky as the catalyst to get Action really over? I don't know. Let's move on. Now, let me give it to you like this. When it came to Bandito versus a Bryan Danielson, was that the best match of the night? Heck yes, it was. It was the best match of the night. That's just it. That's it. Taking away with the end with Kushida and Allen, and we already know how that ended. This was the best match of the night. This is where I don't understand why isn't Bandito shown more on AEW. He should be. He should be shown a lot more than what he is now. And this is like the first time we get to see him, and we see how good he is in the ring. Now, I don't know if he has charisma. I don't know if he speaks English or Spanish. To be honest, you can always get a translator for him. You can use Alex. You can use anybody you want as his translator. You can even get an interpreter and type it on the screen. I want to see him have some type of interaction other than wrestling. And that's what the problem is when it comes to many Japanese or Spanish wrestlers. Now, admittedly, Kateska, he had a interview, which was pretty good. Now, he doesn't speak great English, but he made it very clear. MJF, he's going to be dealing with him next week, and he called him in supposedly Japanese. He said something else than just, he's an asshole. But I like that he spoke some English. He spoke Japanese as well. He kind of mixed the two. Was it perfect? No, but I enjoyed it because at least he did it. That's for me. and Bryan Danielson won. And MJF made it very clear on the Tron that you don't know me. I'm better than everyone that you face. I can do a Iron Man match, and I promise you, I'm going to show you how great I am. But now, after beating a Bandito, you're going to have Brian Cage versus a Bryan Danielson. And he went to the Prince and said, here, some money. Make sure your boy messes him up, and then smacks him in the face. He smacks Brian Cage in the face to piss him off and make him angry and hate. And he says clearly, and the Prince says, Prince Nagi, I believe Naga, he said, don't, the money. And Brian let him go. But then you could see MJF going, you felt that? You felt that feeling? That's hate. I know that better than anyone. Hate can drive you. Use that when you're up against him. Very well done. That is what an MJF would do. Now, do I believe it's going to get really good in that match? I don't know. I don't know if Brian Cage and Bryan Danielson is going to have very good chemistry. I don't know. Not saying Brian Cage is bad. He's not. But I'm not saying Bryan Danielson is bad. He's not. But I don't know if they're going to have good chemistry. This is going to be very interesting. Very. And I want to say something about Adam Page when he was interviewed by Renee. Was it a good interview? Yeah. Did he show emotion? Yes. Did Renee make it something interesting between him and Mox? Yes. But the question is going to be, who was he talking about when he asked her about somebody? Who is that? Now, it can't be the Bucks. It can't be Kenny. Who could it be? I'm kind of curious. You guys tell me below what you think. It can be the person that many people already think, but I want to know what your thoughts are. Leave a comment below. Now, all right. Here's where it gets very confusing. And is it bad confusing? Yes and no. You got Willow Nightingale versus a Toni Storm, where you would think, this is where it gets confusing. You would think that Saraya turning heel makes great sense because she can be a damn great heel. And Toni Storm's been a face for quite a while. It's good to switch them around. But you're showing Shida getting angry, throwing the kendo stick last week in the ring, and supposedly screwing up, where it looks like you're teasing her as the heel. And now you actually have Saraya, and Toni Storm turn. I'm not saying it's a bad move. It probably is a good move. But teasing it that way is very mixed signals. You didn't need to have Shida last week throw the kendo stick in the ring. You didn't need her to go like that. You didn't need her to have that interview before the match being upset and going, what the fuck do I need to do to get my dick sucked here? As they would say. What I got to do to prove myself? What dick I got to suck to get respected here? Who the fuck I got to beat up? Something like that, where you're showing her getting upset that she's being disrespected by Saraya. And then you throw the kendo stick in the ring, and you would think, with this, it should be Shida turning heel. But no, it's Saraya turning heel with Storm beating up on Willow, and then Ruby Soho saving her. Which is kind of understandable, especially about the street fight last week. Fine. But it's very confusing for most people. Many people will not agree with it. They'll say, why did you tease Shida as a heel and you go with Saraya? Isn't this a little too soon? And it's understandable. Both of them will make great heels, but isn't it too soon? For me personally, it's a mixed signal. And it didn't need to be a mixed signal. If you really wanted Saraya to turn heel, you shouldn't have Shida throw that kendo stick in the ring. It didn't need to happen. She could still got upset. And guess what? You could have had Shida try to stop them and then turn on Shida. And then it would make a lot more sense. It gives a mixed signal for me personally. Finally, we have the TNT title match of Kushida versus Darby Allin. The second best match of the night. Very damn good match. Well done. Well executed. And I can tell you this. If they had another match, I would not complain about it. But I am curious on what they're going to do with Darby Allin now. I know he wasn't going to lose. But who is he going up to next? Who's going after him? And will there be a story behind it instead of just playing matches? Now, he's very good when it comes to stories. So the question is, what is the next story for Darby Allin? It was a very good match. But it wasn't the best match. Bandito and Bryan Danielson was the best. But it's interesting to see what we're dealing with here in AEW. We're getting more storylines, but it kind of gives a little mixed signals to me personally. Look at what's going on with the Acclaimed and the Gun Club. Daddy Ass finally got sick of this and now wants to have family therapy with the Acclaimed and his kids, supposedly. Why? Why is he doing it now all of a sudden? He was more than happy to see this. And all of a sudden, when it came to this situation, because when it came to Caster rapping on them and basically adding Billy into this and pissing him off, is that the reason for this? He's been doing it for a while. So what's the difference all of a sudden that now he wants to have family therapy for both teams? It makes no sense. It doesn't. Unless he's finally going to go back to the Guns and he's going to be leaving the Acclaim, because technically speaking, if he leaves the Acclaim, it's going to hurt them, but not heavily because they're so over. But I don't think they need him to leave yet. They still got a little bit more time with this run with him there. Now the question is that what's going to happen? I don't know, but you guys tell me below. And this is Dynamite Delight. I hope you don't mind the opening with information about Jay Briscoe. Hope you like the review. Leave a comment below. Peace.